Hello everyone and welcome back to JB Subtle Gaming. I apologize, it's been a while since we've done a video, but I am back and I'm planning on showing off the new mods for the new Nightwave as they come out. I've really enjoyed some of the old mods like the Penta one and the Grikata one. So right now the one that we have available, that you haven't been able to get to more than this unless you've somehow been hacking into the game and cheating, is a mod for the Convectrix. Now the Convectrix is an interesting weapon. It is a beam shotgun. It fires these two beams that come together and they do deal damage on the way out, but obviously you want them to come together and have these two separate beams on the enemy. You can also use an alt fire that starts in the middle and spreads out. Now the alt fire doesn't have a very good range and it kind of goes back and forth, as you can see. It is, if you have a bunch of enemies like grouped together in a hallway, it's pretty good, but because it doesn't stay wide and it kind of moves back and forth and it's not that big, again, it can be useful, especially against low level targets, taking a bunch of them out if they're packed in a hallway, but it is just a little bit weird. Now the Convectrix has an odd reputation in that it is a beam weapon, and beam weapons are really buffed. It's a shotgun, and shotguns tend to do a lot of damage, and yet this one has a reputation of being bad. You know, it's not like a MR0 starter weapon like a Mark 1 weapon, but it just doesn't deal damage compared to other shotguns or other beam weapons. Now, is this new mod going to save it? So, what does this new mod do? So we can see here efficient beams only consume ammo when dealing damage. Well, this is nice for a couple reasons. One, you're consuming ammo like when you fire the weapon and you're waiting for the two beams to come together. So if those aren't hitting anything, it doesn't do anything. And you can then basically hold down to fire whenever you want and keep those beams together and firing and not worry about losing ammo. So that is kind of nice. And 100% status chance, or 150% status chance. That is super nice. It's very easy to get this weapon to 100%. Now, what I want to talk about here, I'm going to take Hell's Chamber off, and I'm going to take Toxic Barrage off. So if you're familiar with pellet-based shotguns in Warframe, you want to get to 100% damage because then all the pellets are going to proc some sort of status. And if you're not at 100% before multi-shots, because multi-shot will add your shot status chance, then it will be divided amongst your pellets. So you can be tricked by that. Now this weapon is different though because it's a beam weapon. So you can see right now we're at 93% status. If I add multi-shot, you're not adding to the status chance. Normally you would do that on a weapon. Basically on beam weapons, when you add multi-shot, it adds to the overall damage of the weapon. So with or without multi-shot, you can get to 100% status with this mod and two 60-60 mods. So in this case, we're going to use viral and we're going to try to do a slash build. And we're going to be focused on doing slashes. Here we're sweeping serration, which is again going to increase our slash chance. Now remember, impact, puncture, and slash damages are 4 times more likely to proc than viral. So not only is this higher than the viral, but it's 4 times more likely even in addition to that. So we're going to get a lot of slashes proccing on this build. And then we're going to want the viral on it at least long enough for the target to bleed out, because viral will reduce the enemy's maximum health by 50%. So the rest of these mods, like these, are just going to be adding damage. Obviously the efficient beams. We have the stuff on here that we're going to be proccing for viral and getting the 100% status chance. And I put vicious spread because it's a beam weapon and it doesn't really hurt things. So in this one, I want to do as much slash damage as possible to have that be likely to proc and still have viral on there and not a lot of other competing elements on here proccing for things. So what we're going to do, because again, this weapon has a reputation for just not dealing enough damage. We're going to have level 100 corrupted heavy gunners out there. And the reason we're doing this, we could do other things. Basically this weapon with a bunch of forma, because we did put a bunch of forma on this weapon, and really to get this weapon to like a full-on build, you can see we have 5 on there. You might even need to do 6 depending on your Riven and whatever build you want to do, but 5 should be plenty for most builds. And we have plenty of room left on here, but we're not using our Riven. So one way to try it is to try to deal as much slash damage as possible and try to have that viral proc on. So we will go ahead and you can see the beams coming together. Remember, we're not using ammo unless we're dealing damage. And if we take the target down to about half health, you can see that the target will bleed out. Hey, this isn't bad. You know, this will kill level 100 corrupted heavy gunners in a decent time. We'll see if the viral falls off or not. If it does, then okay. So if the viral had fallen off before the target had bled out, then its health would have gone back up. And we can also hold it down to see what sort of damage this will do by holding it down. And again, of course that didn't really work. Let's go on a fresh target here. By holding it down, you know, we'll kill the target quicker if we stay on them, obviously. So, not bad actually. This build works. However, this is a 5 forma build using a special mod, and there are a lot of weapons that can kill these targets at least as efficiently, if not more efficiently. So did the Convectrix all of a sudden become a good weapon now because of this update. Well, let's try off a couple of different builds just to see how they work here. So another potential way you can go is to go into crit. Now, if we want to look at the crit chance of this weapon without Prime Ravage here, its base crit is 2.4, which is higher than average. So we want to take advantage of that. So we're going to bring it up to 5 crit damage on the crit multiplier, which is nice. Now, there is a mod that will give you more than this. Part of the problem with this gun is that the shotguns don't have great crit chance mods. There is a Acolyte mod that I believe on headshots while aiming gives you critical chance. I don't actually have that mod, so I want to point out this build will be even better if you have that mod. I didn't want to go out and pay the plat for it right now. I have most of the Acolyte mods. I don't happen to have that one though. So we will show this off where the goal with this is, yes, we're going to proc corrosive damage, which will do more damage against these types of enemies. We also have the crit chance and then the higher crit damage, and we also have Hunter Munitions on this build. So again, we will trigger Hunter Munitions more if we have more crit chance if you have that mod. And also, if you end up with a Riven, I think a crit chance on your Riven is maybe one of the best things that you can have if you really want to make this weapon work as best as you can. So with this one, again, we're going to try to bleed out the enemy. So let's get them down to 50% health or so. Now in this one, we're not worried about the viral proc falling off. Now you can see, we didn't quite get there. So, let's go ahead and get this guy down if we can. See if we can get them down. And again, this build also works, and if we get them down to around 50%, maybe they'll bleed out, maybe not. Let's finish them off here. And we'll hold it down all the way. Again, this build also works. Hunter Munitions is, a very good mod. It can work on a lot of builds, and if you had more critical chance, then that would even, potentially proc more often. Now, before we show off the Riven build, though, I do want to slightly change up this build because I was playing around with this trying to figure out what is the best way to make this work. I'm going to take out Hunter Munitions and put on Prime Charge Shell, and we're just going to do full crit as much corrosive damage as possible and not worry about the procs. Now, we are obviously going to proc corrosive a lot. However, we're not necessarily going to overstrip the enemy because, again, imagine basically multiply this number by 4, we're well over 400 here. So while corrosive and slash are going to have similar chances to proc, technically slash is going to be more likely to proc. And actually, I kind of like this build. I don't have a problem with bleed builds. However, I like to kill my targets as quickly as I can, and you can see with this build actually we don't have the advantage of being able to not fire at our targets and take them down, but honestly a full crit corrosive build has worked pretty well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to finish off these targets, and so far that's personally been my favorite build. We'll show it off again here in a moment. So let's go ahead and spawn those guys back in. So here's the build in case you want to see it. This is a build that hasn't used any any rivens or anything like that. And overall, I feel like Efficient Beams has made the Convectrix usable at high levels. Did it make this weapon amazing? No, there's a lot of other weapons that can do that same thing with a full-on build with a bunch of forma and things like that. So we are going to show off a Riven. So at first, this is one build I tried with my Riven, and this is where I'm at right now, damage and slash. So initially with this, I tried to do a viral build, and just basically slash is going to be very likely to proc. Viral is something that we only really need one proc on, so then I also went for as much damage as possible. So here we have Blaze, which obviously adds a lot of damage, but is also adding heat. So, we're adding radiation now. Because we're going with viral. So these two combined, we have our radiation and Prime Charge Shell to do basically a lot of damage. So if you look at this, you might say, hey, your radiation is higher than your viral. Most times, we're still going to have at least one viral proc. That's all we really need to do. And we're going to have a lot of slashes proc. And I was having fun with this weapon. Again, I would say if you really want to get the most out of this weapon, I would keep rolling your Riven or get a Riven that has crit chance. So you can see, let it go. And this also, more efficiently than our initial viral build. So I'll let go even earlier. Let's see, because I let go pretty early on that one. And oh, okay, there we got an example of the viral kicking in, but this more efficiently definitely worked than the initial viral build, which isn't surprising because we have a ribbon on it. But overall, I do really think that you can do this build a couple of different ways. And again, the viral fell off of that, so we could focus just on viral and still use the same mod. Or if we really wanted to with this ribbon, we could, even though we have the slash procs, we could just forget about all that and just go heavy on the corrosive if we wanted to do that. All right, now with Shell Shock on the build, you can see we have a lot of corrosive damage, and we could just go this way, and then we could change this up, and we could also go crit. So there's basically a lot of different builds you could do with this. Let's try it this way and then try it with crit just to kind of show off some possibilities. So this is just a corrosive and slash combined, which is a way you can go. You will still kill the enemies potentially with the slashes, but you know, we're not really focused on that. We're getting a balance of those two, so even with this build it's probably better. And you can see that one, when the corrosive procs well and we get those procs, if we hold it down, we can kill these enemies pretty quickly. And let's go ahead and show off a crit build with this as well. So basically, I really do think a crit chance ribbon is, if you want to make the most of this, the absolute best way you can go with this. So let's play around with that real quick. Let's go ahead and let's take this off, and let's get blunderbuss. And what else do we want to take off? Don't want to take these off. I guess we're gonna have to take off prime charge shell in order to get this to work. Oh, of course I can't do it that way. So let's do this, and let's move this over so that we can fit our prime ravage on. And overall, we'll see if this works a little bit better. What are my thoughts on this new mod? It's cool. I like not spend, you know, I can just hold this down. We're not spending any ammo. We're not spending any ammo, and then bam. We can see here, you know, maybe this is our most efficient build yet, getting some crits, going with the corrosive. And you might look at this, and again, this is with a ribbon, and say, hey, level 100 corrupted heavy gunners, this mod's pretty good. However, is this, and you can see the slash damage there and whatever. And if you have a crit chance ribbon, I think you can get an even better build than that. But without a ribbon, with a ribbon, is this worth spending the potato and the forma in order to make this mod work? Well, maybe, maybe not. Honestly, if you kind of enjoyed a Convectrix, if you were someone who was a defender of it before, then by all means go for it. If you hated it before, I actually wouldn't do it. I mostly did it just to do a video on it and see if this is going to be worthwhile. And overall, this weapon is fine. Even without a mod, you saw, I think the crit chance build and the crit damage build is probably the best build. And again, for this specific type of enemy. But these are the hardest enemies to kill, which is why I figured we would show it off against them. It works. However, it isn't as fun. Like the Penta mod, you know, changes the way the Penta works. The Grukata, especially if you weren't going against super tanky enemies, you know, you basically could never run out of ammo with the Grukata and keep firing really fast, which honestly, I believe I made the right decision in not leveling up that mod at all to not make the fire rate even higher to make it easier to kill more than one target. So far, I enjoyed some of the other mods more than this one, because while this is really cool, you can get to 100% status very easily, and that helps make the weapon powerful. It wasn't powerful enough to start to make the weapon overpowered is kind of my opinion on it. So if you enjoyed a Convectrix, go for it. You know, spend a potato in the forma. If you didn't like it before, I don't think this will make you love it. And I'm definitely looking forward to the Harpack Riven, which I feel like, again, it might be a little bit more interesting. I think the Harpack, you know, I've been playing around with it. I've been leveling it up. Is already a better weapon than the Convectrix probably. You know, having to remember to harpoon enemies to get the 300% critical chance. I'll be interested to see how good that can make that weapon and how fun that can make that weapon. But this is the Convectrix one so far. Hopefully we'll have the time now to do some other videos, take a look at the Harpack Riven when it comes out, or if there's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. Hopefully we'll be back with more Warframe videos. Hey, part of the reason I haven't been doing this is I haven't had time. I have a little bit more time now, and basically I can't monetize. I have a very small channel, but if you want to see more content, please subscribe. You know, basically I need another, I think 500 subscribers to even run advertisements, or to ever even be noticed by the Warframe developers. I don't know how much you need for that. I haven't even looked into that. But I would like to more consistently make videos. But if you want to see more, please subscribe. Let me know you want to see more. And, you know, we'll show off some other mods, some other builds, and some other things. Thanks a lot for watching. And well, it was a lot of it was a lot of stuff to get this weapon to do this. And overall, again, it's fine. It makes the weapon viable, and if you love it, have fun. And thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon.